it's just like a really triumphant archway. So like it makes me feel like really like empowered and really like it kind of fills me with awe, like the might of like just Egyptian power.
Something very larger than life, whether it's where they picked the place, sort of next to the mountains, and then this building just sort of rises up alongside of the mountains, or if it's just like the perfect symmetry. Like I can't even see the building plan, but the columns just look so neat. There is something that's like perfect and designed by Ra himself.
Kind of blended in with the mountains, the surrounding mountains, and also kind of stood out, and it was the same coloration and same rocks. I think it's really awesome how it just kind of stands out at the bottom of the ocean. It's like the last thing you would expect to find down there.
It's using the land and the water and the oceanography as part of it, as part of the sculpture, but it's very creepy. I would
put that down there in 2011, and so I think it's kind of funny just that in 2013, or whenever the picture was taken, like there's all this coral on it already, and in some ways it's like nature is refuting him for trying to be creative and original. It's like nature's like destroying his work in a way. Although you could also make the case that nature's improving his work and like getting with it and everything is one. But
makes me feel kind of sad, and that kind of works with the blue color.
They are very apocalyptic, and I think we love apocalyptic stuff in this generation. Zombies, but it's also trying to find something underneath it, like not looking at zombies and not getting distracted by the apocalypse. It's saying like what's human about it. And I think that using the little boy who's sitting on a little column reminds you that apocalypse actually is a very human feeling.
Built during the 15th century BCE, Queen Hatshepsut's mortuary temple was the first of many to inhabit the Valley of the Kings on the west bank of the Nile outside of the central Egyptian city of Luxor. This temple, designed by Hatshepsut's vizier Senumut, was built to accommodate for the queen's rising status. Queen Hatshepsut is possibly one of the most hard-handed women rulers of the past. She declared herself pharaoh, a role most often filled by men, re-established trade networks in order to secure rising wealth for her domain, promoted a great amount of construction and modernization of Egypt, at least to their standards, and maintained peaceful foreign relations. Indeed, the focal point of this triple-tiered temple that predates even the Parthenon is the immense symmetry and the grandiosity of the rows of columns. This was meant to portray a sort of sublime of the sublimes, an image of complete perfection and harmony. Even the geography of where the temple sits helps signify the magnificence of Queen Hatshepsut. Built into the face of a cliff, the temple seems to pop out of the surrounding scenery in a regal way. Somehow, Senumut was able to make this temple seem superior to its surrounding cliffs and valleys, which, in my opinion, is incredibly difficult to do. When architecture dominates nature, not physically but impressionistically, it seems to me that the architect has made a powerful statement through material alone. The temple is not only a great piece of architecture, but it also houses a great deal of limestone sculptures and carvings. Guarding the entrance of the temple are statues of Hatshepsut at her tomb, with the bottom half of her body mummified. Her gentle smile signifies the softness of the queen's demeanor. Notice the grand size of the sculptures signifying her importance. On the south side of the middle terrace, you can find carvings or reliefs that depict the queen's Red Sea journey to Punt, the land of incense. Other reliefs tell the story of her divine birth and her coronation. Throughout the mortuary, there are many sculptures and sphinxes of the queen. The combination of the sculptures and carvings with the grand architecture produce a great homage and representation.
Jason DeClaire Taylor is a very environmentally conscious artist. In 2006, he created the first underwater sculpture park, Musa. After placing his sculptures underwater, he wants the ocean to transform the art and make them part of the living, breathing coral reefs. The sculpture Inheritance is one of many that are placed away from the coral reefs with the goal of drawing people away so that they don't damage the coral reefs. All his sculptures are made with materials that in fact promote coral growth. Through his art, he hopes to show human influence on the world can be good for the environment and help oceanic life. In 2011, Jason DeClaire Taylor made the sculpture Inheritance, then submerged it in the waters off of Mexico. In the piece, a young boy is sitting looking at a pile of trash. This represents how the younger generation is going to inherit environmental issues. Inheritance invokes a sense of sadness from its viewer because the expression of despair that the young boy and the message. The rough cement that the full round sculpture is made of makes the boy appear almost uncared for, which causes the viewer to feel even more concerned and sad. As the sculpture sits in the ocean waters, coral covers the piece. The coral growth is in some ways contradictory to the actual piece. The sculpture shows the negative effects people have on the environment, but the coral growth that is encouraged by this man-made object shows that the good people can do on their environment.
The two have intricate relationships with their natural surroundings. While the temple is competing with the surrounding cliffs and mountains, the sculpture is making an environmental statement with its natural placement.
Both of these great pieces of art are paying homage to something. The temple is honoring the great Queen of Egypt by making a monument for her. The sculpture Inheritance is honoring nature by using the underwater location and promoting coral growth.
The two pieces also invoke a sense of awe. The temple through its size, perfection, and immaculateness, and the sculpture because of its unexpected placement and its strong statement that is magnified by the small boy's sadness.
Despite the obvious extreme differences between the piece of architecture and the sculpture, their environments, dedications, and emotional responses connect the two in unexpected but complementary ways.